During the Wednesday, December 17th episode of Live with Kelly and Mark, the Percy Jackson and the Olympian star appeared shocked after Consuelos exposed mid-broadcast how the 16-year-old had recently failed his driver's test. "Listen, I don't want to bring up bad news, Walker, but we gotta talk about this. You recently just had your driver's test," the Riverdale actor explained. "How'd it go?" Scobell seemed a bit embarrassed, but kept a smile on his face while glancing off stage. He then asked, "You talked to my mom about this?" Consuelos insisted he hadn't spoken to Scobell's mother, however. His wife and co-host, Kelly Ripa, teased that the two ladies may have been in touch. "Just so you know, all we moms talk to each other, yes," she mentioned. Despite likely feeling disappointed about not passing his driver's test, Scobell didn't shy away from the topic. Instead, the Adam Project actor made light of the situation, as Scobell joked he does and think you should have to parallel park. Ripa and Consuelos didn't argue, agreeing that the difficult challenge of parking between other two vehicles shouldn't be an indicator of whether one can safely drive on the roads. Wondering how Scobell did on the test's hardest part, Consuelos asked, "But you passed the writing portion, yes?" "Oh yeah, I did the writing portion great. I was on the line a little bit for parallel parking," he shared. Walker Scobell is still mad about failing his driver's test. "No, I didn't. I'm still mad about this," the secret headquarters star admitted. Scobell then revealed the location of his driver's test, Pennsylvania, prompting Consuelos to comedically scold the state for being hard on the teenager. "You know, historically, they have the worst drivers in the world," the dad of three mocked. "PA, what are you doing? Give the kid a break." Ripa joined in defending Scobell, as she noted how most cars now parallel park themselves. "You just hit that button and it sort of backs in," Ripa added, causing Scobell to joke, "I need to get one of those." Walker Scobell couldn't sleep night before his driver's test. Jokes aside, Scobell said the test made him stressed during the first time went home since being away filming Percy Jackson and the Olympians for Disney+. Scobell confessed he was freaking out about the test and couldn't sleep. "I started filming back in the beginning of August, and I hadn't been home since the middle of July," he recalled. "I had dreams about getting my driver's license while we were working for the last 9 months. There were a couple days when I wasn't working and they ended up being close to the weekend, so I ended up getting to go home for the first time in however many months." Reflecting on the day of his exam, Scobell recounted, "And then I got there. You drive around the block and then you parallel park. And then it was on the line, and then I failed immediately." Consuelos went into dad mode, advising Scobell, "Walker, what you need to do is get with the transpo guys on set. In between scenes, show me how to parallel park. It's a science. Once you get it, you can't unlearn it." Imagine being 16 years old, one of the fastest rising stars in Hollywood, and you're sitting on national television thinking you're there to talk about your latest hit project. But suddenly, the host drops a bombshell about your private life that you thought was a secret. That is exactly what happened to Percy Jackson star Walker Scobell when he sat down with Mark Consuelos. The look of pure shock on Walker's face when Mark exposed his failed driver's test was priceless. He literally asked, "You talked to my mom about this?" Today we are diving deep into this hilarious, awkward, and incredibly relatable moment that has the internet buzzing. How did Mark get the inside scoop? And why is this the most teen thing to ever happen to a superhero? Stay tuned as we break down every second of this viral encounter. Before we get into the betrayal, let's talk about the young man in the hot seat. Walker Scobell isn't just any 16-year-old. He stole our hearts alongside Ryan Reynolds in the Adam Project, and then took on the massive mantle of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. He's used to fighting monsters and traveling through time, but as it turns out, the DMV is a much scarier opponent. We've watched Walker grow up on screen, transitioning from a witty kid to a leading man. But despite the fame, he's still a teenager dealing with the same milestones we all do. And that's what makes this story so great. Usually, celebrities have this polished, perfect image. But here comes Mark Consuelos, ready to pull back the curtain and show us the human side of a Hollywood star. So Walker walks onto the set of Live with Kelly and Mark. The energy is great, the crowd is cheering. They start talking about his career, But Mark has a glint in his eye. He's not just a host. He's a dad, and he knows how to get the real tea out of nowhere. Mark brings up the one thing no 16-year-old wants to discuss: the driving exam. The moment Mark mentions the failed driver's test, you can see the gears turning in Walker's head. The confusion, the slight embarrassment, and then the realization. When Walker uttered those words, "You talked to my mom about this?" the audience lost it. It wasn't just a PR stunt. It was a genuine moment of a kid realizing his mom and his interviewer were teaming up against him. Let's talk about the mom factor. We found out that Mark Consuelos and Walker's mother had actually been in communication. This speaks volumes about the community in Hollywood and how close-knit these circles are. But more importantly, it highlights the relatability of Walker Scobell. Even if you're a demigod on Disney+, your mom is still going to tell people when you fail your parallel parking. This segment of the show highlighted the hilarious dynamic of parents versus teens. Mark, being a father of 3 himself, knew exactly how to play this. He didn't do it to be mean. He did it because it makes Walker incredibly likable. It reminds the audience that behind the red carpets, these actors are just kids trying to figure out how to operate a motor vehicle. Since this aired, social media has been on fire. Fans are posting their own stories of failing their first driver's test. It turned a potentially embarrassing moment for Walker into a massive branding win. People love authenticity. In an era of scripted reality, seeing Mark Consuelos catch a young star off guard felt refreshing. The comment sections are filled with people saying, "I feel you, Walker," and "Mark is such a dad for that." It also sparked a conversation about the pressure on young actors to be perfect. By failing his test and having it exposed, Walker became the everyman for Gen Z.